Okay, boys and girls, before we read our next story, we're going to review some of the words and the sounds that they make. Remember the letters EE as in E. Remember when the letters are between the two diagonal lines, it stands for the sound the letters make. So we're saying EE as in E. And some of these words are going to be in our story with Wong from Hong Kong. So two of them that have the E sound is sweet, sweet, and eek. When we see a spider and we get afraid, we say eek. And so those are our EE sounds. Now A blank E as in A, and I had to go over this letter, it's AE. AE stands for the A sound because the E is silent. The E is the helper for A, and E tells A to say his name. So we're looking for the spelling A blank E that has the sound of A. Crate, here is the E blank A. This is an ATE. Snake, another E blank A blank E. And this time it's AKE, snake. Scare, A blank E is the ARE, and safe, A blank E is AFE. Let's say them again. Crate, snake, scare, safe. And our tricky words, and they're words that we don't necessarily sound out. They're words that we just have to know when we see them what they are. Who, and this is a very important word, because who is asking for a person. Remember at school we would say, what is asking for a thing? Where is asking for a place? Who is asking for a person? Or one, we. And these are words that we're going to hear in the story about the pet Gran got from Hong Kong. So our story today is Wong from Hong Kong. Now, you remember Gran went to Hong Kong. That was one of the places that Gran visited. She also visited the Swiss Alps, and she visited the Gulf. And she swam with the eels. That was an E sound also. While she was in Hong Kong and we saw the ladies with the pretty dresses on, she got a pet. And she brought him back to the States in a crate. And his name is Wong because that's one of the names that the people in Hong Kong use. If we were in the States, we would probably call our snake Spot or Rex because those are names that we give our pets. But this is Wong from Hong Kong. Jen yells, Gran, there is a man here with a big crate. Gran says, it must be Wong. Who? Asked Jen. The pet I got in Hong Kong, says Gran. Wong from Hong Kong, asked Jen. Yep, says Gran. But what is this Wong, asked Josh. Gran takes the lid off the crate and lifts up a long black snake. Sweet, says Josh. Wong is a snake. Eek, Jen yells. I am scared of snakes. Gran says Wong is a safe pet. He's a safe snake. There are snakes that can kill us, but Wong is not one of them. This is a snake we can pet. So let's go back to the story. We see crate is an ATE word. We see takes, AKE, snake, AKE, sweet is one of our EE words, and eek. And Jen yelled eek because she was afraid of snakes. And also safe, an A blank E word also. So let's talk about the characters in the story. The title is Wong from Hong Kong. And we see some rhyming words. We see Wong because it has O-N-G. We see Hong because it has O-N-G. And we see Kong because it has O-N-G. So those three words rhyme. Our characters would be Jen, and it would be Josh, and also Gran. And if we look at the man with the crate, part of the setting would probably, we would say, is in front of Josh and Jen's house. And we know it's their house because Gran is visiting Josh and Jen. So we've talked about the title, the characters, and the setting. Now, when you go back to answer your questions, let's look at those questions and see what it says. It says, number one, what is in the crate? So when you write your answer, you're going to write it in a complete sentence. And remember, we said we can always use part of the words in the question to answer the sentence. So if it says, what is in the crate? We would say what's in the crate. We would say blank is in the crate. We would use our sentence, start our sentence with a capital letter and put a period at the end because we're writing a telling sentence. Number two, Wong is, and then we're going to bubble in the correct answer. Long with green bands, long and black, thick and red. And number three says, why is Wong a snake that Josh and Jen can pet? So we're going to go back in the story and find out what Gran says to answer why Wong is a snake that Josh and Jen can pet. So we would write the sentence starting saying, Wong is a snake that Josh and Jen can pet because, and then say why Gran said he is. And then in this box, we're going to draw a part of the story that we like, and then we're going to write a sentence under the story describing it. Okay, let's see if there's anything else that I have left out that we need to do. Yes, we need to change some of our words, so make sure that you have paper and pencil because you're going to write these words along with me, and we're working with that magic E. Number one, we're going to write the word can. And if we add the E, can becomes, let me write this a little smaller. Well, you know what? I think we're going to do all 6 in one row. So let's do this. Can, and draw a line and write cane, C-A-N-E, because here it is, a blank E. Number 2, we're going to write plan, P-L-A-N, and if we add the E, it becomes plain. And when we add it and it's a different word, it's a completely different word from the word that it was before we added the E. 3, mad. And some of these are the same words that we used the other day. M-A-D-E. And here is that A blank E again. 4, rats, R-A-T. And you're writing along with me, R-A-T-E. There's the A blank E again. 5, hat, H-A-T. And if we add the E, it's H-A-T-E. And we, hate is not a very good word, but we can use it if we say, oh, I hate it when it rains. I can't go out to play. Or I hate it when it's time to leave school because I like school so much and I have to laugh children at. Do you really say that? So we can find words to use it when it's not really a bad word. And 6, cap, C-A-P. And when we add the E, it became C-A-P-E. And here's another A blank E word. The last time we wrote these words, I asked you to use this side in sentences. But today I want you to use these words in sentences. So we're going to use the word cane. And if you remember, I have a cane because it helps me to walk. And it's called the seat cane because when I have to stand for a long time, I can slide the seat down and sit on it. So you can use that as your sentence for cane. Number 2, plane. And we know we see that plane in the sky. Made, and we make things all the time. Made is the past tense of make. So it would be something that you've already made that you would use in a sentence. I made a pumpkin for fall. Rate, and rate is kind of confusing, but rate is, we could say it's the price that something usually is. The bus rate is usually, and then you would say how much it costs to ride on a bus or a train. Hate, and we used the sentence already in a sentence. I hate it when it rains outside and I can't play. And number 6, cape. And we know cape is something that we wear. I think Batman has a cape that he puts around his neck, and when he flies, the cape is blowing in the wind. So we want to use those words in a sentence. A sentence starts with a capital letter, and it ends with a period. It's going to all be telling sentences. So we're going to have, or you know what, you could also, you could add, you could ask a question, and then if you have the question, then you would put a question mark. And if you want to use a word like eek in a sentence, then you would use an exclamation mark because it's showing excitement. As always, I like to end the lesson with a story because I like storybooks. I think they're just so much fun. And since we did our story about a snake, I thought it would be fun to read a story about a snake. And this is called A Snake on the Moon. Okay, let's see if you can see it from here. And after the story is over, you go to your worksheets and finish your worksheets in your spiral notebook if you can, if not in a regular sheet, and enjoy your day.
Snake on the Moon, written by Annie Sweet, illustrated by Patricia Srigley. Wiggles the snake was playing at the park, sliding on the slide until the sky got dark, swinging on the swing until Mr. Moon rose overhead like a bright orange balloon. Mr. Moon looked down at Wiggles and said, "Little snake, it is time to go home to bed." All around Mr. Moon, the stars twinkled bright. They twinkled and sang, "Good night, good night, good night." Wiggles said good night and waved his striped tail. He shook off sand and picked up his sand pail. Wiggles slithered down the path into the trees that ringed the park and creaked in the breeze. The path was so dark he couldn't see the tip of his tail or his one snake knee. Wiggles got so scared he turned tail and fled back to the park instead of his cozy bed. The moon's rays bathed the park in faint light, but the moon had closed his eyes for the night. He was snoring and wearing his nightcap, cuddling his teddy bear in his moon lap. The stars slept too, dreaming their sweet dreams about cheesy ice cream made from moonbeams. Wiggles was only a tiny little snake. He began to quiver, shiver, and shake. He was scared all alone in the park, surrounded by creaking trees and the dark. He wanted to go home to his grassy bed, but the black forest filled him with dread. He hissed, wake up, Mr. Moon." The moon yawned. "Is it morning so soon?" "It's not the morning yet," Wiggles said. "It's night, and I want to go home to bed. But the path is too dark, and I can't see all the scary things that there might be." The moon said, "I'll lend you my teddy bear." Wiggles said, "That is kind of you to share, but how about a moonbeam instead to light the path to my grassy bed?" For a little snake, Wiggles was pretty smart, even though he wasn't so brave in his heart. The moon said, "My beams aren't bright like the sun. They aren't bright enough to get the job done." Mr. Moon was sad. He gave a big sigh. Wiggles was sad too, and he started to cry. "Wait, I have an idea," the moon said. "I know how to get you home to your bed." The moon's idea made him smile so big he turned a somersault and danced a jig. He woke up 5 stars and juggled them about. "Yippee, again, again," the stars did shout. "How will you get me home to my bed?" Wiggles said to Mr. Moon, so high overhead. "Why, I will give you a ride. How about that?" And he pulled a long string from under his hat. Wiggles really wanted to visit the moon, so he said, "I like that idea. Can I go soon?" Mr. Moon dropped one end of the string. It was tied in a loop like a lasso swing. Wiggles climbed on, and he began to rise. He rose so high he couldn't believe his eyes. He rose past the trees, clouds, and stars in turn. Stars so bright he almost got a sunburn. He reached Mr. Moon and climbed on his chin, right below Mr. Moon's mile-wide grin. "Hold on," the moon said, and raced across the sky. Wiggles held on, and in the blink of an eye, he was looking down from outer space on his very own little home sweet home place. Wiggles said, thank you for the ride," and down, down, down the long string he did slide. When he touched the ground, he gave a goodnight hiss and blew Mr. Moon a big goodnight kiss. "Good night," the moon called, "good night and sleep tight." And Wiggles did sleep tight in his bed all night.